Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at the 8 Greed Kings, who are a group of players that arrived 500 years ago, 100 years after the 6 great gods of the slain theocracy. The 8 Greed Kings are comprised of 7 males and a female. Maruyama described them as resembling some sort of harem, and such an arrangement ended up causing the complete annihilation of the Greed Kings. It is also heavily implied that it was the Platinum Dragon Lord's father, the Dragon Emperor, that is responsible for bringing the 8 Greed Kings and in fact all players into the new world. He would have done this out of the pursuit for more power. It is also most likely because he brought players to the new world and the consequences of doing so that the Dragon Emperor is so disliked by all the Dragon Lords. Unlike the 6 great gods, the Greed Kings spawned in the new world with their Yggdrasil base along with its contents, much like how Ainz arrived with Nazarick. This means the 8 Greed Kings would not only have their items and guild weapon but also their NPCs. The guild base itself is a floating island and is located above the desert biome. As this area was relatively uncontested due to its lack of resources and hostile environment, it meant the Greed Kings were relatively safe and gave them time to observe the world around them. When the 8 great gods arrived in the new world, the current magic system was changed. The old system consisted of Dragon Lords being able to use wild magic and dwarves being able to use rune technology. Since then, tier magic became a lot more widespread and wild magic became tainted in some way. This caused the Dragon Lords to lose a lot of their strength, and any dragons born after this time can only use tier magic. This led to the distinction of true Dragon Lords who can only use wild magic such as the Platinum Dragon Lord and Deep Darkness Dragon Lord, and false Dragon Lords who can only use tiered magic such as the White Dragon Lord and Blue Sky Dragon Lord. The exception to this rule is Cure Elim, who can use both tiered and wild magic and is considered a true Dragon Lord. I've covered the Dragon Lords previously, so please refer to that video for more information. Regarding the change in the magic system, it isn't confirmed whether the 6 great gods or the 8 Greed Kings are responsible for the change, but it is far more likely that the 8 Greed Kings are responsible. It is also most likely that this change happened as a result of a world-class item, specifically 5 elements overcoming. This is because the effect of this world item is the ability to change the magic system, and naturally an effect that strong is locked behind one of the 20, meaning it is one of the single-use world-class items. From here, the 8 Greed Kings end up on a path for world conquest. The exact reason for this isn't known, but we can assume pretty comfortably why. When the 6 great gods arrived in the new world, humans were on the point of extinction. Thanks to the 6 great gods' efforts, humans managed to regrow their numbers and survive. Then when the 8 Greed Kings came and tainted the current wild magic system and made the tier magic system universal, the Dragon Lords would have started seeing players as a severe threat. As such, the Dragon Lords would have targeted the 8 Greed Kings to take them out. But as the Greed Kings were so strong, most of the Dragon Lords ended up dying, leaving the Dragon Lords almost extinct. From here, the 8 Greed Kings would have taken out any threat that stood against them, and this includes the final member of the 6 great gods. The god of death Sushana was an undead, while the other members are all believed to be human. As humans, they wouldn't have had the immortality that Sushana possessed, and as such would have passed away by the time the Greed Kings arrived. In an attempt to help protect the humans, it is said that Sushana made a deal with some of the Dragon Lords to help take out the 8 Greed Kings, but they ended up failing and she died as a result. There are rumours that the 8 Greed Kings targeted non-humans, but it was more likely that they only targeted those that stood against them, and it was the non-humans that stood in their way. So if they were so strong, what happened to them? What ended up happening is the Greed Kings fought amongst themselves and killed each other off. This is likely related to greed and lust for power, and in some way related to the harem-like arrangement as hinted at by the author. From here, the most likely scenario is that when only one Greed King was left, some of the remaining Dragon Lords decided to work together and take out the final Greed King. After the Greed Kings had perished, the Platinum Dragon Lord ended up living in the former guild base to protect their items from falling into the wrong hands, and prevent a similar travesty from happening again. In the past, he has been known to give out some of the Greed King's treasures in order to help fight against evil forces. An example of this is when he allowed the 13 heroes to borrow the Greed King's guild weapon in order to fight against the evil deities. This is most likely also where the powered suit Azef Indra received from the Platinum Dragon Lord came from. Speaking of the 8 Greed Kings Guild weapon, let's have a look at it. The weapon doesn't have an official name, but it is known to be a sword, implying the guild master was a warrior. The blade was forged from crystal, and the Platinum Dragon Lord described the weapon as gorgeous yet gaudy in appearance. An ability held by this weapon is that its sharpness surpasses anything created in the New World, but despite this it is not suitable for slashing. From this description, it sounds like a stronger version of Razor's Edge, and not too dissimilar in appearance either. The weapon was once used to murder Dragon Lords, and in the web novel is described as the strongest weapon the 8 Greed Kings ever wielded. In the web novel, this is the weapon that the leader of the 13 heroes was allowed to borrow during the quest to defeat the evil deities. The leader of the 13 heroes was a player from Yggdrasil, and it was during this mission to stop the evil deities that he died. It is unknown how he was struck down, but supposedly he rejected the idea of being revived. The more commonly accepted and more likely explanation is that it was the Platinum Dragon Lord that killed him out of fear of how strong players could become, so he killed the leader before his strength surpassed that of the Platinum Dragon Lord. PDL would have done this to avoid a repeat of what happened with the 8 Greed Kings, especially with the Dragon Lord's magic now tainted and their numbers far diminished. Another item that used to be in the Greed King's possession is one that was witnessed by Evileye as a result of her time as part of the 13 heroes. She said the most potent item among their collection was the Nameless Book of Spells, that within it contained a complete catalogue of every spell in Yggdrasil and the New World. She also described the book as holding an unknown power, and the grimoire even has a magical protection that prevents anyone but its rightful owner from touching it. This makes the most likely cause of its creation being one of the 20 world-class items, considering it not only has the most hidden and secretive tier spells of Yggdrasil, but would also explain why it contains all of the wild magic exclusive to the New World. The only thing missing from this book is that no super tier magic is recorded, although in the web novel it is said to have a single super tier spell. It is most likely this tome is currently in the Platinum Dragon Lord's possession. Despite knowing some of their items, we only know about one member of the Greed Kings. This member is tentatively named as King Hougan, due to one of the few things we know about him being that he is the father of Decim Hougan, the Elf King. We only know about his existence because of the Elf King. He greatly respects his father and says the title Greed King was a petty attempt to destroy the guild's glory. As for the guild member himself, he is also an elf, and is also a warrior specialised in fencing. The Greed King was even given the title of Strongest Fencer. In addition to his fencing sword, he was known to carry a large bow and quiver. From his weapon choices, it can be surmised that he likely belonged to the light warrior class, and therefore light armor is what he would have donned. The final item he is known to have is a Ring of Lesser Resurrection, but with each activation, the item's value would not only decrease, but the person being revived would also grow weaker. The Ring of Resurrection is a cash shop item, so it is likely more than one, if not every member of the Greed Kings held one. These rings are considered inferior to the resurrection items possessed by Lord Ainz. Overall, the level of the Greed Kings is unknown. There are rumours that the Greed Kings are capable of casting 10th tier magic, which would put them at a minimum level of 64. Equally, these rumours have been dismissed as children's stories. And with that being said, that wraps up pretty much everything. So thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed, a like and subscribe would be greatly appreciated as it really helps out the channel. Please leave any thoughts in the comment section down below, and thank you very much for all the insane and continuous support. We also have a Discord channel that you are more than free to join, with a link being in the description. With all that said, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.